Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraff.
And I'm Cathrine, co-host and bestie.
Welcome back to the Pod Lab.
Glad to be here.
Here we are recording episode 125. And we're still alive.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
This is great.
Mm-hmm.
And this topic today is about hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for women our age who are over 50. I'm way over 50. I thought about this the other day when we were joking about age, and I said, I'm 57, closer to heaven.
Yeah, and right before that, I had said, I'm 54, and I want many more.
Yeah, so
not too many though.
Let's not. Let's move on. Hobbies for women over 50. That's the topic today, friends. And if you're just joining us for the first time, we're a couple of besties who, during the pandemic, decided to launch a podcast because everything was shut down, and the comedy was nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
0 places.
Yeah,
all my gigs went bye-bye.
Yeah, stinky.
Yeah, so Kat and I decided to start this podcast, and we decided to take a topic that we think, well, first of all, we picked topics that we're interested in.
Yeah.
Because we're a couple of gals over 50.
Well, sometimes, though, we'll do a subject that maybe one of us is more interested in than the other.
Yeah, like American cheese. Like
government cheese?
Government cheese, yes.
And colonoscopy.
Yeah, both of those
are
I was big fans.
Right.
And you did not want to do it.
No.
Yeah, but see, I dominate, and I just say, we're doing it, Cathrine.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we choose a topic that we think you'll enjoy, and then we try to bring it to you in an entertaining fashion.
Yeah.
And at the end, we're going to point you to Jesus. Done. Mm-hmm. That's
Boom.
it. So stay tuned all the way to the end. And we do have sponsors. Cathrine, please tell our listeners about how they can join us in this endeavor.
Well, if you receive Tracy's emails, you can scroll down and click on the little icon that tells you to click here to be a contributor, a Patreon, or you could go straight to Patreon. I think it's not as easy though.
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory either way. Just go to, patreon.com, or you can scroll to the bottom of the email where it says support us or support now or something like that.
Or go to Tracy's website.
Yes.
And you could do it that way. Super simple. And you won't even know it's gone.
You won't. It's only $5 a month.
Mm-hmm.
You set it up once and it recurs. Every month, we get $5 of your dollars.
I'm laughing because I will get the emails and not Kenny, even though he's the contributor.
Yeah.
And I'll say, what is that?
You forget.
Well, long story short, I have another thing that I don't want to subscribe to anymore, Tiny Facts.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I tried to cancel it, and it keeps popping up.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank all of our humor contributors. We have a relatively new one. Katie DeGraff is a new contributor, so we appreciate her for doing that. She is my husband's cousin's wife, so she is a relative of sorts through marriage. Colleen is another. Ursula, Nancy, Kenny, Karren, Jeannine, Muffin, Darlene, Courtney, Joan, and let's see, is that the end of the list there? Let's see, that's 11. And then we have Gayle
and Carla.
And Carla, yes. So thank you to all of our contributors. We have 13 now.
Mm-hmm. That's so exciting.
Yeah, we started with 0.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we had Puffin.
No, yeah.
So anyway, thank you, friends, for helping us just to stay focused and encouraged and afloat. Yeah, and all that. All right, well, let's dive into our topic. Hobbies for women over 50.
Yes.
What say you, Cathrine?
Well, I think we should kind of just go over what a hobby is. Mm-hmm. It's any activity a person pursues for pleasure and that you do for relaxation outside of maybe your career, or if you don't, like, I don't necessarily have a career, but I have hobbies in my leisure time that I like to do.
However, I'm going to say this. I think that being a mother is a career. It's just unpaid. It is something that takes up your time. It takes up your energy. It takes up your day. You do a lot of things as a result of it. So people call athletics their athletic career, even those that don't get to, real high paying stuff.
Yeah, but for one thing, my kids are grown.
Well, then you have an accomplished career of being a mother. Mm. And during that period of time, you held 40 some jobs. So
I do have interests that make me money sometimes.
your career was mainly raising 3 children into adulthood,
Yes.
which now they all are.
Yes.
I'm saying this for myself too, Catherine. So
Yeah. My sub-career is I am a regular trier.
You're
I am I'm a
career.
career trier. I try many things.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's listening who's like us and devoted decades to raising kids and didn't really get around to hunkering down into one single career and gradually increasing and getting to the top of that, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you.
Choo-choo. Come join us.
You'll feel so much better about your life when you hear about ours. It's going to be great. All right. So hobbies is basically just doing something that you love to do or that you like to do other than your career.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I would like to go over why they're important.
Let's
as
do
well,
that.
Okay. Hobbies help you grow and become more confident in life. They're important for personal growth and success.
Yes.
Hello. Also, hobbies help you connect with people who have similar interests and give you an opportunity to recharge and refresh your mind, your body, your soul.
Oh, hold please.
Yeah.
I love that about the villages.
Yes.
The
The villages in
villages-
Florida.
Yes, it is a retirement community for 55 and up, and they have every hobby under the sun.
True.
And you can join the group and meet a bunch of people,
Yeah.
and they have a parade once a year at Christmas time. And my husband and I were there because his parents live there. And we were there for the parade. It was hysterical. They
Yes.
have belly dancers that are in their 80s.
And that reminds me, in a few weeks, we are going to cover the villages.
Yeah,
We're
stay
going to have
tuned.
an episode on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is here's a community of people that are mostly retired. Some of them may still work,
Yeah, and
as consultants or whatever, but they're not like in their full-fledged career. They're mostly retired.
Yeah.
Every day they can go golf, they can go whatever they want to do.
Bingo.
Oh, you bet, bingo.
Yeah. All right.
Bingo.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's so true. Okay. Hobbies also enhance your ability to think outside the box and help you see things from a new perspective. They also help you to learn to step outside your comfort zone and spread your wings. So that's
Yeah.
another benefit.
Yeah, I think they help you to have fun and be more like a kid.
Yes. Oh, yes. We are going to get to that.
Right? Because kids have a blast. They have tons of hobbies being a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Also, engaging in a hobby can reduce the development of age-related ailments and help promote a positive attitude about life. So those are some really good reasons, folks, to get a hobby if you don't have one already.
Okay, and here's the thing, too, that I would like to inject here. You may not call something that you like to do a hobby, but it could actually be.
It could
that
turn
it is
into-
a hobby.
That's right.
No, not that it could turn into a hobby. It could actually be that you are into hobbies, but you don't consider it a hobby because it's just something that you do. Here's an example. Like your mother-in-law, she goes for a walk every day.
Yes.
She may not say, I have a hobby, I walk, but it's just something that I do. But it can technically be considered a hobby.
It can be, actually. Yeah.
And her mother-in-law, we've talked about her frequently.
We do. Yeah. Just talked about her before we started.
I think that we talk about her on the podcast a lot because she's a woman in her 80s and we aspire to be that.
Yeah. I admire her and respect her.
Yeah. And she's got a really good head on her shoulders in terms of balance in life. And she had some tragedy come her way when she was still in the throes of raising kids. Her husband passed away.
She was 45.
Very young, and she had to figure it out and still keep raising 4 kids.
Yeah.
So the fact that she goes and takes a walk every single morning, she still mows her grass. She still runs she runs the snowblower thing.
Yeah, she does. She actually cut her finger massively. I think the tip of it came off from she was trying to fix the snow blade thing herself.
Yeah, while
on
it was
the
on.
snowblower. Well,
That's not a good idea, Judy. Aside from that one misstep of her putting her hand in the snowblower, she's a great gal.
she is. She's smart. Like you said, we aspire to be like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you're assessing yourself, as you're listening, like, because I had thought to myself, well, what are my hobbies? I don't have any, but I really do.
Yeah, you do.
I have quite a few hobbies.
Yes, I thought about that as well. Like, well, my hobbies are like a hobby business.
Yeah.
Like, I turn it into making money. So is it really a hobby? Well, yes.
Yeah, because it's something that you love to do.
Mm-hmm. I even learned that people watching is a hobby. And then there was a whole explanation why it can be considered a hobby.
Yeah. So I discovered that just in thinking about hobbies, indoor plants is a hobby.
Yes, it is. It's on here.
And it's a hobby that I have loved throughout the years. There have been different times when, like, I've had to either give away plants or let go of them, or I murdered them. I killed them intentionally because I was done with them. But now I'm growing and nurturing new plants. And we were at our place where we work out with our friend this morning, and I just happened to ask, does anybody here have a cutting from a little plant that I'm looking for? And our friend Lindy did, and she gave me 2 actually cuttings, and so I planted them, and they look great.
That's Tracy's way of gardening, because she's not necessarily one that likes to garden outside. So I can see where propaganda, techniques indoors would excite you.
Propagating,
not
propaganda. Like
propaganda. I've got propaganda for you to come and join my club.
Yeah. And I don't not like gardening outside. Like, I like to plant flowers. I like to do perennials. I do ferns. I have a shade garden. So I do garden outside.
Yeah, you do.
But I don't have a vegetable garden per se. I have a small little patch, and we are going to put in jalapenos and some herbs. Yeah, the jalapenos went really well last year.
Yeah.
But the green peppers and the tomatoes, the squirrels ate them. So goodbye. I'm not feeding the squirrels. I'm not going to do it.
No.
All right, let's move on. What else were you going to say about it?
Well, I don't even know where I left off, Trace. But here's the thing. Oh, I just talked about the benefits of having a hobby. So there's 6 different categories that we're going to cover, and they are creative hobbies, outdoor hobbies, relaxing hobbies, social hobbies, active hobbies, and educational hobbies. And one of them is going to maybe make you laugh on the educational hobby, because I did not expect to see what I saw.
Ooh.
Yes.
Sex ed.
These are for women over 50.
Okay, keep going.
They're like, we are educated
Let's just keep
enough.
going. Yeah,
okay. All right. The first one under creative hobbies is calligraphy.
Yeah, I heard that. Love it.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, so I have to say, I am so guilty of almost everything inspires me. I was like, yeah, I could do that. I'm like, Adam, your son, I could be a professional canoer.
Yeah, my 4th son, Adam, when he was little, any new thing that he would try, anything, he would want to do that professionally.
Yes. Full blown into it.
Yeah, totally going to do it.
That's what I loved about him. He's so enthusiastic.
He went canoeing with Catherine's family, and he was sure that there was a job being a professional canoer.
Plus skiing. He was going to be, oh gosh, so
and a garbage man. Anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
So calligraphy could be relaxing. It's good for eye-hand coordination and all kinds of motor skills and things like that. So lots of benefits there. Plus, it's super creative.
Oh, yeah. And it looks pretty. I mean, you could do calligraphy then for, like, you can write out invitations to weddings.
Yes. You can do all kinds of I would love to write on, like, chalkboards with really good calligraphy. Another one that I was surprised was on here was scrapbooking. But, as technology changes, because so does the way you scrapbook. I was thinking when I read scrapbooking, I'm like, who does that? That's like, the 90s.
Old school.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, you can find new technical ways to do that digitally or whatever. Painted rocks. My mom did that.
Did she?
Yeah, you don't have to be, like this artiste to do it. There's just different ways that you could proudly display your creative outlet onto rocks, and that's a real fun thing to do.
Now, here in our little town, there's a thing called Piatone Rocks. It's a Facebook page.
Oh my gosh.
Did you know that?
I did not, but it does say check with your community to see if there is one or if you want to make one.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. If anybody wants to try this and they want to paint rocks, This is a page that was started by Carrie Summerfield, our friend.
Oh.
Yeah, right here in town. I'm going to look it up. It's on Facebook, and it's called Peatone Rocks.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah.
Well, while you're doing that, this is another one that can reduce stress levels and keep you, your concentration levels going, and it just something that can help improve your focus and take your mind off of things. So...
What's that? What can take your mind off of things?
Painting rocks.
Oh, right. And so anyway, the group that she has, what she does is you create whatever you want to create. So let's say that you take a rock and you want to make it into a ladybug. So you paint it red and the little black dots and a cute little smile. Well, on the other side, it's like hashtag Peatone Rocks or something. There's like a site that you go to or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you take it to wherever you're traveling and you hide it somewhere. And that way, if somebody finds it, they can go back to the site, to the Facebook page, and they can say, hey, look, I found this rock. It came from Peatone, but it's in Nebraska. Stuff like that.
Cool. Well, I just remembered as you were talking where those painted rocks are that my mom painted. So I kept a couple of them. One was a ladybug. The other one was a raccoon or some kind of animal like that. Yeah. Or a porcupine, something like that. And they're actually, we put them on my dad's grave.
Did you?
Yeah. Put them in there because he kept them around.
It makes me want to do that painting rocks thing.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I would.
All right.
For sure. Okay, the next one under the creative hobby is painting and drawing. And that goes, again, like with the hand and eye coordination and just kind of just like taking your mind somewhere else. So I think that would be a really good one. And there are a lot of learning devices. Like if you want to paint or draw and you're not very good at it, I saw on Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank. Okay, well, anyway, this guy invented, it was his second time on Shark Tank. First time, he invented a barf bag for kids when they're in the car.
Oh, that's a genius idea.
It was. I don't think he got any deals that first time. Second time around, he had this other idea that he actually had before that, and it's a thing called a Lucy. And the Lucy is like this projector, and no matter where you are in your artistry talent, you can use this device, and it will aid in some wonderful art. Even if you're already talented and you can do the art naturally, this is like another, I don't know, I can't remember why an advanced artist would use it, but there was a benefit there. But I actually looked it up. I would love that. I would love to have that. I would love to be able to draw and paint objects, and I just need a little aid, you know.
You can always, you have your old faithful friend Google. You can Google anything or go to YouTube. Yep. YouTube is a search engine for how to do stuff.
Right.
So well, if you want to learn how to draw a robin, I'll bet you they have a tutorial on YouTube.
I've done it. But here's the thing, because the shark people had said that too to this inventor.
Right.
But there's an extra advantage to this because it's so precise. And he explained that artists back in centuries ago actually used this method, but it's an advanced technical way to do it today.
Cool.
Yeah. Here's another one, and you and I have talked about this one. I want to do this. I've been wanting to do this for decades. Photography.
Yeah.
So that is another one that would be great. A great hobby for women over 50, and really, I think almost anybody. Okay, and then next, crafts, which I happen to love that. I do that. I like to look for sea glass. So that is a hobby that I have, is walking the beach, looking for beach glass or sea glass. But I like to make it into art and even jewelry. Music is another one that falls under the creative hobbies. Yeah. And that could be either listening or trying to learn how to play an instrument. So then, of course, I Googled how to learn to teach yourself how to play the drums, because I would love to learn that. I really would.
Yeah, every time we go to a thrift store and Cathrine finds a yardstick or anything, any kind of an object that could be used to whack somebody with, she picks it up and then she gets this look in her eye like she's all excited. And then I move away from her.
I should have known. whack-a-mole, whack-a-drum. Sewing, when I first read that, I'm like, oh, really? But I can actually see that. You could just get together with others and just kind of have like something that you've always wanted to kind of put together, maybe a quilt or
quilting
whatever.
is huge.
Yeah.
Quilting, and also in that realm of sewing, what used to be when my grandmother was around, she did a whole bunch of that needlework. It was so one of my grandmothers did needle point, which is different than this other thing. I don't know what it was called, but it was like a printed thing, like on pillowcases or table runners.
I love those.
Or there's cross stitch.
Yeah.
Cross stitch was big in the 80s, and I did a little bit of cross stitch, but it makes your eyes cross.
I know.
That's why it's called cross stitch. Your eyes cross. But there's also in needling, there's crocheting, knitting.
That's on here too.
All of that. And one of the things I think that turns a hobby into something really passion filled is having a purpose behind the hobby.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, that you're into knitting, like knitting little caps for preemie babies at the local hospital.
Yeah.
Or knitting little lap blankets.
For people who are sick.
Yeah. And there was a ministry in our church at one time where they knit these prayer shawls.
Yes.
And it was just a group of ladies that knew how to knit or whatever the stitching is called to put it together.
Yeah.
And they would sew a little praying hands into the prayer shawl.
I love that.
Yeah. And they gave one to me when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Yeah. And I just thought it was so purposeful and meaningful.
Yeah. So touching.
It was.
Right. Yeah, when Emily was born and she was in the hospital, the local church near the hospital had an Afghan that they had knitted or crocheted. I don't understand the difference completely, but anyway, what a wonderful way to, bless somebody else if you have that skill.
Yeah, and if, for example, if knitting isn't your thing, maybe if gardening is, right? Let's say that you have a beautiful vegetable garden, but you can't possibly eat all the tomatoes and zucchini that come out of your garden.
Right.
It would be great to just contact your local food pantry and find out if they could use these fresh, organic, local vegetables to give away once a week or once a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And if they can't use them, give them out to people on your street or put a little table at the end of your driveway that says free for the community. It just puts more purpose.
It does.
Into what you love to do.
Yeah. And that actually, I was going to mention that too when it comes to like maybe you like to arrange flowers. Well, you can use that in nursing homes or whatever and bless somebody in that way. Yeah. Well, all right. And I think a couple more that are in the creative hobbies are writing. And, of course, I love this one anyway. Like it could be journaling. It could be if you want to do a blog. It could be leaving something memorable for your children, your children's children, just things like that for future generations, whatever it might be. Writing is a nice creative outlet.
You know what it could be, too, is just even letter writing. I know you and I both talked about this a long time ago, that we both had pen pals when we were younger. And a pen pal program was popular back in the 70s where school-age students would exchange addresses and you would just write to one another.
Yeah.
Well, writing letters has become a lost art. Yeah. So perhaps if somebody really enjoys to receive a letter, maybe,
I do.
Maybe look for a pen pal.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Because it's kind of like getting a hug. You get one, you give one.
I know. Yeah.
And if you have a good pen pal and you just back and forth with the letters, it could be somebody that you know really well. It doesn't have to be a stranger.
Oh, for sure. Will you be my pen pal?
Well, we're with each other every day, Cathrine.
I know, but still, I love when I receive in the mail, I'll see, cursive handwriting on an envelope with cursive, maybe return address. And I just love that.
Yeah, cursive should be a hobby.
Well, will be now.
Right, because people don't do it anymore. They don't even teach it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, right. A couple more. Baking and decorating. That is the only one that did not interest me that much, but that is a big one. And flower arranging, which I kind of touched on, and that also has like positive social interaction. It could brighten up someone's day. And like I said, if you brought it to a nursing home or some other kind of senior facility or whatever.
Right.
It just, anytime you, in fact, I think I put that in my grateful list last night.
Yeah.
That receiving and even giving flowers is just a blessing for the giver and the receiver.
It is. I hadn't thought of this, but you mentioning our grateful list, that's a hobby. We have a hobby of creating a gratitude list every single day.
That's true.
That we send to one another of the top 10 things we're grateful for, followed by 3 statements. I'm excited about. No, how do we do it? I know. I can. I'm excited
too.
Yeah. And we've been doing it for over a decade.
Yes.
So that's something that you can do. If you don't have a hobby, make a hobby of being grateful for 10 things a day and write them down.
Yeah. Good thing. Good idea. And jewelry making is also a creative hobby that you can do. And there's all kinds of tutorials and ideas. Look at Pinterest.
Yeah, a lot of people do jewelry.
You can learn for free, like you had mentioned. All right, that wraps up the creative ones.
Okay.
Some of these are going to overlap as well. Now, for outdoor hobbies, gardening and yard work is a big one. I love gardening. I absolutely love it. Getting ready to actually start that myself. Bird watching. So even if you just sit there on your patio, your deck, or whatever, even from your window inside the home.
Yeah.
Bird watching is also a way to connect and observe nature. And you were just recently doing that with the robin that's in your faux tree.
Yeah, I have a whole family of robins on my patio. And I've been watching this nest from eggs to hatchlings or whatever they call them. Now they're birds. They only keep them in there for 2 weeks and then they're gone. They grow within those 2 weeks. Those little eggs become the same size as the parents. Yeah. And that's when it's over. Yeah. That's when the parents go, we're done now. Yeah. 2 weeks. Compared to 20-some years.
You're on your own. You're flown and grown and flown.
Yeah, imagine if our kids, right when they're as big as us, we're like, well, you look like an adult. Good luck.
You're right. Gosh.
But it's been fun. It's been fun to watch the process and also to observe nature in action. And I'm not really a nature girl. I'm not an outside. I don't like heat.
But look how it got you Googling this and you looked into that. So
yeah.
You just never know.
And yesterday when everybody was over for Mother's Day, I was showing them. I was like, we can't stay on the patio when Mama and Daddy are trying to find worms and feed the babies.
So you're getting a little bit older when you're doing things like that.
Concerned about the robins.
Yeah. Although I think a lot of the millennials and people, whatever they're called, the generation after them, they're very conscientious of being green and nature. I just remember being younger, not necessarily take the eggs out of the nest, but also being like, oh, get that out of there because we can't sit.
Yeah.
Hiking and walking, that interests me a lot as well. It's been a long time since I've actually done hiking, but I do like it. Here's one that I don't know, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, geocaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's there's lots of ideas on that too. That there's people that have GPS and smartphone apps that supports coordinates and things, and people can connect with their exploration trails and things like that. Oh, my daughter just tried to call. I know she just had an appointment. Okay.
Was it Emily?
Emily, she had a cardiologist appointment.
Oh, okay.
So I will call her back. All right, now on to the next one. Oh, swimming and aqua exercising. We do that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a good way to stay healthy.
It is.
Again, another thing with the social aspect. So we need not say too much more about that. Okay, now on to the relaxing hobbies. This came up a lot all across the board, all the different sites I looked at. Reading.
Yeah, and that's obviously an activity that you can do for a long time.
Yeah. Coloring is another one. And, I think most people know about the adult coloring books, and they could be so relaxing. Puzzles. I remember we went through that phase of doing puzzles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And it doesn't have to be just like, your kind of puzzle you put on the table, but it could be crossword puzzles, which Ron has recently been doing.
All of a sudden, he never used to do crossword puzzles, but when I think about it, we didn't have time to do it. When we had 5 boys in the house, there wasn't time to sit down and think about something. It was too busy. It was too active.
Yeah.
It was too loud. I mean, we watched The Wheel of Fortune, and that was as much of a crossword puzzle as we could get. But now that it's just us, he'll sit and work a crossword puzzle and I'll just sit in silence. Yeah. And I just absorb that and I go, this is so great.
Look at my husband with his glasses
on.
And
he's so
reading
cute.
Glasses.
I just love him so much. Yeah.
Okay. Meditation and yoga.
Very good.
Yeah, that's another one. And our friends Jackie and Wendy do that.
Yeah, and Wendy really calls it Bendy Wendy.
Yes.
I think that's hilarious.
Everyone and nap time.
Yeah, they have a yoga class where you just go and lay down and take a nap.
Yeah.
I want to go to that. I want to try it.
That's nice. Here's where I don't know if it was on our podcast or not or beforehand. People watching is also a hobby, believe it or not.
I love people watching.
I do too, but I don't know if I think I would get extremely bored if I did this on a regular basis. I mean,
we people watch from our couch because in the home where we live, we're on the corner.
Yes.
And
everybody walks by.
Everybody walks by our house. And so it's funny to me because the other day we saw a group of little kids walking together, 2 boys, 2 girls, and they looked like a little old couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way that they were walking. And then everybody walks with their dogs. And I always watch and wait. And when their dog goes, I wait to see if they're going to pull out that little bag.
Okay. Guilty. I do that too.
Scoop up that stuff.
Well, yeah, I'm on the other end of the street. And so we're down by the church and the school. So funny because there's a lot of people that walk past us as well.
Yeah.
And I'll watch them if I'm if I'm happen to be there. But yeah, I don't think you go out of your way either to just sit there and
I think that it's just the where my house sits, everything faces the street.
Yeah.
Like my kitchen window, your kitchen window faces your driveway.
Right.
My kitchen window faces the street. So if I'm sitting there doing dishes, which I don't have a dishwasher, so I have to hand wash.
Yeah, and that takes
all
longer.
of my dishes. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing dishes, people are walking by. And the other thing I love to do, which is so funny, I'll tell Ron, come here, look. People will walk past our patio and they turn their neck to look because we have those sails up and it's really cool.
It's cozy looking. Yeah.
And we've got it landscaped nice and pillows out there. And I'm like, look. They're looking at the patio.
You're going to find squatters there one day.
Yeah, we're not leaving.
How fun.
It's funny.
Okay, so now some social hobbies. Pickleball.
That's huge now.
It's very huge. Yeah, and it's social. So it's social, it's physical, active. It could fall under all of those categories. Volunteering. When you volunteer, you can make a positive impact on people and organizations or even animals, children, elderly, whatever. So that is something I've thought about for like when I'm older.
Well, animal shelters, they can always use volunteers of every kind. So if you like animals, like they could use somebody to wash their towels that they use, to clean the animals or whatever. They could use somebody to go in there and clean cages, brush the animals, feed the animals, give the animals water, take the animals for a walk, all that stuff. So if you're an animal lover, just contact your local things. The other thing, if you're not really that much into animals, there are food pantries all over this country that need people to help with loading cars, with organizing food. Our good friend, Sandy Teskey, is well into her 70s, and this is something that she's passionate about, and she volunteers her time. Of course, she's retired, but she volunteers her time at the local food pantry, and it's a real social outing for her as well as a way to serve.
Yeah.
It's purposeful. Great. Very purposeful.
Also, our friend Angie, her son Max, does it as well.
Yeah.
And he, it makes him feel purposeful. It's right up his alley.
Yeah. And he's young. He's what is he, 19?
Yeah.
18, 19? 20, somewhere in there. Young man.
Yes.
All right. What else?
Board games and card games.
Love it.
Yes, that's something they do down at the villages and lots of retirement communities. They have things like that, organizations and so forth. Bowling. This is another thing my mother-in-law does. Although her local bowling alley,
I heard,
has been burnt down to the ground just last week. I think it was.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but let's say, for example, that you're someone who you love bowling, but you don't know anybody else who loves bowling. Right? Just contact your local bowling alley.
They'll hook you up.
And just figure it out. Or you can get into a league. It doesn't have to be super competitive. I'm sure that they have senior leagues or they have young junior leagues or whatever.
Yeah, some of my mother-in-law's closest friends are from that bowling league.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cooking. And that's another one that, for me, doesn't really interest me. But I can see where... I guess if I were invited, I think I could get into it. Other than that, I'm not sure I would pursue it. But, if I could find a way to make cooking more exciting, then maybe I would.
I think one thing with cooking, because we come out of the world of, having been mothers for decades and cooking for families, and in my case, 5 boys, the cooking wasn't what I would call like a creative art. It wasn't like a culinary art.
No,
it was
survival.
Just survive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big pots of meat. That's it. However, let's say, for example, that you love this charcuterie thing. You love the creativity of charcuterie. Okay. Have a charcuterie night at your house.
Yeah.
And invite 4 friends to come over and bring their stuff. Like maybe you have 4 or 5 friends and one brings some sliced meat and the other one brings some cheeses and the other one brings nuts and berries and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Our neighbor Andrea, she was going to have a charcuterie board party thing, and funny because charcuterie is so hard to say. She came up with cooter board, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't happen because just like all these different obstacles popped up, but yes.
But there's a perfect example. Yeah. Andrea is extremely social, and she's such a fun person to be around.
Yeah.
And so she puts her effort into, she's a real connector.
She is.
Of people. So she puts her effort into, hey, I'm going to throw this party at my house.
Yeah.
And she puts it together on Facebook and sends out the invites. And I think that's a fantastic idea. I hope that someone listening to me right now is inspired by that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good times. And now into the active hobbies, which again, we touched on some of them. Pickleball is active, blah, blah, blah. Fitness and wellness. And we talked about swimming. We talked about walking. But also strength training could be a hobby for you. What else could be? Yoga. We already said that. But anyway,
just
get the idea.
Keeping you moving.
Yeah.
And movement is movement. I don't care what it is.
Golfing is moving a little bit.
Yeah, and there's also prayer walking. So,
right.
Let's say, for example, that you're a person who, a believer in God, a believer in prayer, and you also want to get in touch with nature, get outside. You can go for a prayer walk. And there's a lot of places that have, what was that thing called that was over by the Catholic nuns?
Yeah, that
place?
was the...
it's like a labyrinth of
I've done it a couple times.
I forgot the name of it, but it's something where you start at a certain point and it's like a little maze type of thing.
They had 2. They had the labyrinth, and then they had the Passion Walk.
Well, it's just something to look into.
Yeah.
And I know that if you're in the Chicago area, is it St. John where they have that that thing that we've gone to? What's it called?
That's called the Passion too. That is called the Passion.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, it's a neat place, and you've probably seen it. I'm going to look up the website. It's in St. John, right?
It's in St. John in Indiana. And yes, I've gone there a few times, maybe a little less than a handful, and I love it. And it's peaceful, and there's quite a bit of walking, but you kind of stroll through that if you're reading everything. Yeah, and it's inspirational. It's moving. And they've added on to it. They've done a section for Moses. So.
Okay, it's called The Shrine of Christ's Passion.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And it really is a phenomenal place. And they have an excellent bookstore gift shop.
Yeah, I love it.
So, and they have a website, and the website is shrineofchristspassion.org. Mm-hmm. If you live anywhere within 2 hours or whatever driving distance of this place, it would be a well worth your time.
Definitely.
Day.
Yeah, I mean, if you're driving 2 hours to go to Fair Oaks Farm, you can. Yeah. Go to that.
Speaking of that could be another hobby. Would be just like traveling.
That's next on the list.
Well, I don't really mean traveling abroad. I mean, that's obviously a hobby too, but even just traveling within your own region and exploring different areas where you might not have to get a hotel room, or maybe you just get a hotel room for one night type of a thing, but going to local wineries or to like
on the list,
or to the dairy place, the dairy farm.
Fair Oaks. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It provides a sense of adventure, excitement. I like it because it's stimulating to me. I love to travel. I love to see different things. It's refreshing to me. It's a recharge. And, seeing different ways of life and different perspectives, cultures, whatever, I find that to be extremely interesting. And it's an experience. And, my mother-in-law loves to travel. She really hasn't as much since the pandemic, not because she's afraid or anything. It's just the way it turned out to be.
Right.
And my cousin Christy loves to travel. But there's something about it. I could see why it's a hobby for some people, because like all those things that I just said, it's observing different ways of life. It's stimulating.
When you think about who we are, we're created beings in the image of the Creator.
Right.
And so creativity is something that people who are creative, we're created by the Creator and we're in His image. So we are creative.
Right.
By nature. So in that, doing these different things where we explore, we learn a new language, learn a new dance, learn a new skill. It opens up the mind and it gives you joy.
It does. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. And, we're all just on a journey in this life.
Hello.
And, so the journey can include actual journeys, actual travel. So that's one that I love. Another one on here is dancing. Dancing is another one for social interaction and exercise, self-esteem, improving mental well-being, all of the above. And it could be super fun too.
Oh,
I think
sure.
that some really good laughs could be had from that. And another thing too, it just caught my eye, is it can improve your cardiovascular health and system.
Yeah.
So lots of benefits there as well. And it's a low impact form of exercise too. So that's another good thing about it. Martial arts and self-defense. I would totally do that. I would love to just chop somebody.
Okay, so you just inspired me to look up dancing. Like, I remember square dancing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And they have, so I Googled square dancing near me.
Uh-huh.
And there's all kinds of places that pop up where you can square dance.
Well, that doesn't surprise me too much. There's dance studios in pretty much every town around here. And I would imagine square dancing would be on there. Well, while you're reading that, I'm going to move on to the educational hobbies. The first one that came up, I was surprised. It says wine tasting under educational hobbies. It says wine tasting is a great hobby for women over 50 as it provides an opportunity to learn about and appreciate different wine varieties, as well as sample a variety of flavors and aromas. And it goes on about it being a social aspect and that you can share the same interest with others, and that wine tasting is a fun and engaging hobby that can help broaden one's knowledge of the world of wine and provide a unique form of entertainment.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, here's one I absolutely want to do. Genealogy. So, and actually, without even knowing that this was on here, I was kind of chatting on Messenger with my Aunt Brenda, Christy's mom, and we were talking about ancestry, and because she sent me a picture of my dad's side of the family, which is how she's my aunt on my dad's side, and the family line, and it prompted me to ask certain questions and so forth, and we said it'd be great to get together and go over what we have, because my dad has a lot of stuff that he found out in research and things like that. So I would love that. Not surprisingly, learning a new language is on here. I would love to do that too. I would like to do so many of these. Also taking a class, and it said that every state in the United States, all 50 of them, have free classes for senior citizens.
Cool.
Yeah, I know.
What do they consider a senior citizen?
Well, that I don't know, but it does say for women over 50, and that you're never too old. So in Illinois, I don't know what it is, but you don't even have to be pursuing a degree necessarily or even get a grade. But if you want to take classes, that could be a nice, well-rounded hobby as well. So that's it for the lists. But I think just to wrap it up about hobbies, whether it's gardening or fitness, travel, all the things that we mentioned, whatever it is, it could bring just so much joy and fulfillment and purpose in your golden years, which I can't believe I'm saying golden.
Well, I 100% agree with that. We don't have any idea. There's no expiration date on the bottom of our foot. So we don't know when we're going to have that appointment. It's coming, but we don't know when it is. And so in the meantime, let's fill our lives with as much joy and positivity as we can. I thought of a couple different hobbies that you didn't name, because I listed out, like, what are the things that I love to do? So we talked about some of them, but I found in my research for today that a lot of different places listed prayer and Bible study as a hobby. Oh. And I found it to be, like almost like insulting in a way, because I don't consider it a hobby necessarily in terms of like a hobby being like we talked about the other things. However, it is something I love to do. And it is something that I do. I would term it myself more like a spiritual discipline. Yeah. However, I kind of embrace the idea of it being a hobby because I love it. So I love to pray, and I do pray.
Yeah, me too.
Regularly with friends. And it's a connection point. I've been doing this for many years, as you know, because you're one of the friends that I do this with. But once a week, a small group of ladies, we get together and we pray. And it's really a way to crochet our hearts together. It has changed my life in so many ways. So I would encourage somebody for that. Like if you're a woman of faith and you believe in prayer, get with a couple of your friends and pray on a regular basis. It can change your life. Yeah. So that would be a very positive thing. Another thing that I love to do that I've done in the past is have a patio party. Oh, yeah. I like to invite people over to my patio and just hang out and throw a party, and maybe throw a theme party. As we just talked about, the charcuterie could be a theme. Or when Catherine was retiring from her 4 months at the post office, I threw her a retirement party. Yeah. And I invited a group of our friends to come over, and I asked everybody to bring an item that they wanted to retire from their home. Yeah. And then we did like a grab bag thing, and everybody went home with something different. And it was really fun. Yeah, it was. And we were out there for hours laughing and playing music, and we had some snacks, and it was great. I also consider solitaire as a hobby. Oh, yeah, I would do, Now, obviously, solitaire is something that you do on your own. Yeah. But it's just something I enjoy, and so I put it on there. Bottom line for me is connecting with people is a value to me, so I love doing it. So I would just encourage anybody to look for ways to connect. Yeah. One thing that wasn't on there that I thought about too, it's not, I haven't done it, but I do know people who do this, and it's kind of like a hobby, is shooting range, even for women. Yeah. And I've been invited a couple times, but I haven't done it yet. But that I could see where that would be a hobby. Now, our final takeaway is how to get started. So, so if somebody's listening and they're like, yeah, I need some hobbies, what would you say for them to get started?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Figure out, if you don't know what you like or you don't know where to get started, you can transform what you're already doing and already enjoy into a hobby. Like you mentioned, I think you mentioned people watching.
Mm-hmm.
That actually can be turned into a hobby. Chances are, like if you're, I don't even know how to explain it. If you are doing something you already enjoy, the chances are that you can transform it into a full-fledged hobby. Whether it's eating or like watching sports, you can take a cooking class or you could join a softball team or something. That's a way in which when someone says, well, I like to watch sports, well, maybe you might like to participate in one,
or umpire or something.
Right. But you don't know until you try it.
Right.
So maybe you like animals, you like your dogs. We talked about volunteering.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can dog walk, things like that. So that's one way. I think this next one is huge. Reclaim your childhood interests. So if you think about the hobbies that you liked before your work life and your adulting got in the way, kind of go back to your roots. What did you enjoy when you were a kid? Now, of course, we all change.
Right.
But some of us still, like, for example, I just thought of this. I used to love to do the villages, so like the Department 56 villages in a way. And I remember I used to say it's like grown-up pretend.
Yeah.
So like when you're young, you kind of like Barbie dolls and, little houses and townhomes and things like that. But the village thing, that's like men and women like that. That was in fact, my sister and I used to go to these big conventions for Department 56.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, and the train villages, with those are really fun hobbies. So it's like the adult version of it. So you get the idea.
Our friend
Wendy, I just thought of her too.
She went to like this little, it's like little doll
miniatures.
houses. Yeah, it's called miniatures, but it's almost like a little dollhouse, but it's a miniature thing, and it's a stress relief.
Yes.
And she really loves it.
She does. Yeah, I just thought of that just before you said it. Okay, another thing you could do is take an assessment. So 2 assessment things that you could take are the strong interest inventory, and we'll have to put that in the show notes.
Okay.
And the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Many people know what that is, but that can give you a deeper insight into your personality type, and then that can point you in the direction of what you might like and figure out, where you might be aligned with a certain, hobby.
Yeah. I think the main thing is just to do something.
That's last. Yes.
Yeah, just
try something and then see what sticks.
Right. Strong interest inventory. I'm writing that down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, that's pretty simple.
Well, this has been a really interesting podcast. It's really been encouraging to me because actually when we first brainstormed about doing this topic, I was like, oh, what are my hobbies?
Yeah.
But then honestly, when I started to list the things that I love to do, I have many hobbies. Many.
Me too.
Not just one.
And many interests.
Yeah. And I'm sure that everybody listening has interests and they have things they like to do. Make it your hobby. Invest some time into it. Maybe even invest some money into it. And see where it takes you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get on with our inspirational close.
Let's do it.
Colossians 3 verse 7 says this, and whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God, the Father, through him. Yeah. And then Ecclesiastes 9 verse 10, it's actually just the first part of verse 10. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might.
There you go.
Yeah. So have have fun.
Yes.
Right?
Have fun. Be purposeful. Find purpose.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
And if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with a friend and join us on our humor contributor
Hit
list.
the like button. Follow, subscribe.
Yeah,
all of the
things.
above.
All right. Well, you've been listening to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraff.
I'm still Cathrine.
See you next time.
Goodbye.